So the task I have for the next day or so will be installing some kingpins in this 2012 International Work Star. So first thing I'm going to do is take this fender off. It's only 3 bolts, or not 2 bolts. So you got one here, one there, and then one there. I think they're all 13 millimeter, and then it should slip right off. Because I'm gonna need a little bit of swinging room, swinging a hammer to drive out the kingpin. So this time I'm gonna take these off, or this fender off. I'm gonna jack it up and take the wheel off, brakes. I might take the hub off. I'm gonna see if maybe I can kind of just shift it to the side, clean it up, put the bushings in, and then slide it back and see if maybe not having to take it all the way off, and I'll see how as I get there. So what I got was a no ream kit. So this is what I got: Stemco Keza no ream kit. That's the part number. Quick pin. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll take that fender off. So I'm gonna take the whole brake setup off. Get 7 bolts. The head's 1 1/8. So take them 7 bolts off, and the brakes, the plate, chamber here, and all this will come off. We'll take the line off here. We'll unplug the ABS sensor here, and yeah, and that should come right off. So the way these kingpins are held in, basically the knuckle turns on the pin. There's a bushing in here, and that's what wears out, is the bushings that are in here inside the knuckle against the pin. So the kingpin comes in, and then there's slots cut into it, and then you've got a wedge with a bolt on this side. So basically you put this one in this way, and you need to put the nut on the other side that it took off, and then there's a nut on this side obviously, and the wedge comes through this way, and then so we got to drive them out. So basically these two things are what hold the kingpin from moving up and down and spinning. So I got kind of lucky. This top one actually just kind of went, and that's what they look like. So that goes in there, wedges up against the kingpin itself. Some of this grease off. So I got to get that bottom one out, and then the bolts came out of the bottom cap, but as you can see I broke off two up top here, so I'll have to get those out, and then drive the kingpin out after I get this pin out with this wedge, and then
Brian, just back straight, I'm gonna scoop it out.
I can clean it all up, and then we can get ready to put our, I gotta drive out the bushings that are in there, and then put the spiral cut ones that come with the no ream kit in. So anyway, that's where we're at. So I'm gonna do that, get that pin out and get those bolts out. Alright, so I got this knuckle aside. I gotta clean out these bores, make sure there's nothing in there. The ream kit suggests using like a brake caliper hone or something of that nature, little stones that spin to get the burrs and stuff out of there. Probably just going to use like one of these cleanup wheels on these guys. Clean that up. Had a little mishap holding my driving tool and I thumped my hand, so it might run a little slower, but got a little bit of swelling there. It's not broken, just a little soft tissue damage, they say. So yeah, I'll be nursing it a bit. So I made a tool to oh, here it is. All right, so I took a caliper and took a bolt, or a washer. Actually, it's the third washer in there. That's the one that I use as the driving washer. So it's just sandwiched between. I took a caliper and I figured out the size of the bore, and then I just put that with a bolt and some washers in a drill and spun it against the grinder to get it to the right diameter, so it just fits in there. And that's what I'm going to use to drive out this lower bushing, which is what caused the problem to begin with. Is that I'll take this, stack this on top, and yeah, hit that with a hammer, and we will drive that lower bushing out. Alright, let's drag some of the stuff out of this box. installation for kingpin steering knuckle repairs. So this is what we got. These are our thrust bearings. Here's some plates, top and bottom plate with the grease fitting in, or cap ends, whatever you want to call it. Some nuts and bolts, our wedges, or whatever those are called too, and a stack of shims, and some seals. Alright, now this is in this box. Get the other guy in there. So these are the bushings. They're a little different than the other ones. These are stainless bushings. You just see they're spiral cut. And you got to kind of grab the top, and you want to go towards the spiral so it shrinks, and then it'll go in. And I think you want it just below the surface. Let me look into this or read this, and then I'll get back to you with some instructions. Alright, let's read through this. So, removal. Here's established procedures for teardown. Steering knuckle and axle preparation. Clean spindle bores and axle eye, then wipe dry. Remove any burrs from spindle bores with axle eyes using a brake hone or similar device. Installing bushing lip seals. Handle with care. Lip seals are easily damaged. Using a bushing driver or similar device, drive the seal into the bore, leaving the seal flush with the axle side of each spindle. So, you're going to put the seals in on basically the inside, so they're flush with the spindles, and the lip of them is supposed to face the axle, I believe. So they come in this little kit here, and these are the little lip seals. Be sure to position the seal so the lip is pointing towards the axle eye. Installing spiral steel bushings. Place the tip of the bushing at a slight angle to the bore with a push-in clockwise twisting action. The bushing will enter the bore. Continue with the twisting action as far as the hand grip will permit. Figure 1, which is just basically by hand, kind of pushing it in there. Grip bushing wall with a T-wrench or pliers about 1 inch from the tip. Continue the clockwise rotation as far as possible. Figure 2. This is figure 2. Tap bushing into the bore until slightly below flush using a brass mallet. Check before assembly. Wipe the bushing clean. Insert the kingpin into the upper bushing and then into just the bottom bushing. In both cases, the pin should be a slip fit. So basically, put the pin in without the spindle on the axle, just to make sure that it goes in and these little bushings are aligned straight. Insert the pin into both bushings simultaneously, and again the pin should be a slip fit. Oh, so slip it in the top one and the bottom one, make sure it's a slip fit, and then into both of them, and make sure it goes into both of them. If at any time during this test the pin becomes tight, remove the bushing or bushings and use a brake hone to thoroughly clean the bores again. If upon reinstallation the pin is still tight, call technical service. Bearing installation. Pre-pack bearings with grease. So, thrust bearing. Probably got to pack the grease in to the side. Where are we? Pre-pack bearings with grease. Opening on bearings outside diameter should point down. So I'm guessing this is the opening. Points down. Place needed shims under upper spindle bore. So you're going to shim this. Basically, you're going to put the stack in, and then you're going to pull it up, and you're going to try to get probably as many shims as you can really get in there into the top. And That way you take the up and down play out. Let's see. Position kingpin through upper bushing and through needed shims. Be sure top on pin is parallel to the axle for proper lock flat alignment. So talk about these. So you're gonna make sure that this is oriented so that this is where the holes are in the eye, and then you can put the locks in. Place spindle, shims, and pin onto axle. Place spindle, shims, and pin onto axle. Allow pin into axle bore about 2 inches. Tap the bearing into place. A properly fit bearing will require a slight tap fit without damaging the bearing case. If the bearing is too tight or too loose, adjust the number of shims being used. Complete pin installation. Once bearing fit is correct, allow pin to slip into lower bushing. Position lock flats on pins so they line up with holes. Pound lock pins into place. For lock pins with threads, apply 25 to 30 foot-pounds of torque. End plate or end plug installation. Install end plates or end plugs using proper seal under plates, which is going to be these rubber O-rings. Install grease fitting into end plate or end plug. Apply grease until it can be seen between axle and spindle, then turn spindle and grease again, repeating the process 5 times. Check installation. Once greased, the spindle should turn easily from side to side. There should be very little up and down movement. And that's that. So here's a little bit of a diagram. It's not very good, and you probably won't be able to see it much, but then we got the caps, rubber seals, and then these spiral cut bushings. Look like they all go in the bottom. You're going to place a lip seal. I think it's going to go in here. This says seal is placed on top of thrust bearing, but I do not believe that it goes there. I believe it goes in the knuckle here. There actually is a little bit of a seal on this, and this is up. It says it goes. So, oh, seal is placed on top of thrust bearing, so the seal on the top. So you put a lip seal here, then your thrust bearing, and then another lip seal goes up into the top here, and then the spiral cut bushing, the kingpin through, and top plate. Don't forget the shims. Shims are going to go on the top side of the knuckle, top side of the eye, under the knuckle. So there's that. You could probably get, what is this? Probably look at their website, stemco.com, and more than likely find out more information about it. But anyway, so I'm gonna put this back together and finish this side up. Okay, so you get that, where the little lip is. Twist it clockwise as you go. pliers. So I can't do this with one hand, but so I'll grab this right here, kind of twist it as I push down with my thumb on this side. Use that. See? We're in. Take my other guy here and just drive it down a little bit, just below the surface. So that's in. That's real close to the top there. And then it's the same thing at the bottom. I was wondering just like exactly where it had to be so you get the full kind of contact. But looks like it's pretty tight. I mean, it's not tight, but compared to, say, I might drive one down a little bit more than the other. I don't know exactly where the long part is, but see. So I get it at the bottom there. I'll come up here and we're down a little bit. So I might drive that down a little bit more. So you got more surface area touching. I don't know. It did say just below the surface. Maybe I'll just leave it instead of messing around. But yeah, that wasn't too bad. So now I'll put my lip seals, one in here, one here. Then our thrust bearing obviously goes there and underneath here, and then I'll probably put a jack or something underneath to hold it up tight, and I'll get as many shims as I can in here, and then put the kingpin through.